everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Saturday, September the 14th. It's race number 10 at Woodbine. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 1 Woodbine Mile. We're going one turn on the spacious EP Taylor turf course. A field of 8 entered, including your even money favorite, the number 2 Naval Power. Head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com to get those free Formulator Pass performances. Naval Power, 2 starts, 2 triple-digit buyers, and Charlie Appleby and Godolphin seemingly win everything at Woodbine.
Didn't win either of his first 2 starts stateside, Dan, but man, hard to argue with those performances. He ran really well both times. He just happened to be second best both times. They were fast races. You mentioned Appleby, Godolphin. Appleby 8 for his last 10 at Woodbine, all in Grade 1 races. How about that?
Let's throw up the time for US pace projector. And Naval Power, who was kind of forced to be closer to the pace than usual last time out, going 1 1/8 in a slow-paced race. This is probably more what he wants to do, hanging back with that LP flag, designating he as the fastest time form US late pace rating in a fast-paced race. When Philo D'Ariana runs, he's going to the front.
Yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. Listen, Naval Power he's way the horse to beat in here, and there's probably a good trip coming for this horse. The only exception that you can take with this pace projector is that there is another European shipping over here, Big Rock, the number 4. He is not on your pace projector because he's only run in Europe. He's on the lead in this race. He's a very fast horse. Philo D'Ariana cannot go with this horse early.
Well, he is getting blinkers on as well, Big Rock. So he'll be going out there along with Philo D'Ariana. And the number 1, Play Me a Tune, might try to tuck in behind. Trainer Josie Carroll really asking a lot for Play Me a Tune. This is only his 4th lifetime start. He won his first 2 races on the synthetic as he pleased. And then he was tested last time out in this race, the Grade 3 Bold Venture, where he faced perhaps the best synthetic sprinter in Canada in Patches O'Houlihan. Play Me a Tune has a chance turning into the stretch. He was a little bit green when ducking in. He's going to keep on trying, and he just misses to the gate to wire winner. But now it's turf for the first time.
Yeah, there's plenty of questions he still has to answer. He's been good in all 3 of his starts. He runs fine here, Dan. I didn't think he had some kind of huge excuse, but as you've already mentioned, the winner's very good, and he was on the lead in the rail, and this horse sort of took that 3-4 wide tracking trip, and maybe it made the difference. I thought he ran fine in there. He's got, I guess, enough turf pedigree for me to stay interested in him here. And he can probably get the right trip too, but this is a pretty tall order for this horse.
It certainly is. First time turf without Lasix, first time going a route of ground, and doing so against some very good horses, including the number 2 Naval Power. 2 starts, 2 good efforts in Grade 1 competition without winning. Interested in your thoughts on the Turf Classic last time out. Perhaps he's better when he comes from off the pace, but I thought all in all, the trip was there for him. It's not like they were going fast on the lead. He sat there second, and yes, program trading snuck up the rail on him. I thought Naval Power had every shot.
I agree. I listen, he was only second best in there, but he ran fine in that race.
Oh.
And I'm with you. He got a really good trip in that race. And I'm not going to sit here and give him an excuse for the Turf Classic, but he ran very well in there. And I guess if he just runs that race back, he probably wins here. I don't know. I liked his stateside debut too at Keeneland. He ran very well last time. His form overseas was excellent before, the very long layoff. This is a great spot for this horse. Unless Big Rock gets back to one of his, really good races, this is a great spot for Naval Power. And it's going to be hard for this field to beat it.
And in that Turf Classic, he finished ahead of 2 Next Out Stakes winners, both earning triple-digit buyer speed figures in those victories. The 3 is Secret Reserve, coming off a 5th-place finish in the King Eddie. He chased Philo D'Ariana in vain. He was kind of on a hard chase. Maybe this time he'll let someone else do the dirty work. That being said, he's just going to have to improve because I have yet to see him as sort of like a Grade 1 type.
Yeah, he's just hard to make a serious case for in this race. He's been defeated by Philo D'Ariana in his last 2 turf starts. I know one was a sprint, and the last one was this 1-turn mile. But this horse, as far as I could tell, had really good trips both times, and he just wasn't close to good enough.
Big Rock, the number 4, is fast. Big Rock has back class. He won the Group 1 QE2 at Royal Ascot way back in 2023. Is he the same Big Rock that won that race? He started 3 times this year. He hasn't gotten back to that form. He seems to like a little bit of give in the ground, but he faced a good horse last time out. The winner of that race came back to run second in the Group 1 Prix du Moulin.
It's a very good horse that's beaten him in his last 2 starts. This horse was bad off the layoff. Listen, he's come back as a 4-year-old with a trainer change, and he just hasn't quite looked like the same horse that he was last year. He was a really good 3-year-old. I mean, he ran in nothing but big races. He acquitted himself really well in those races. And that final race last year at Ascot in October, that was, I know it was soft ground, and maybe that had something to do with it, Dan. That was a giant performance. He went to the lead. He went a fast pace. He just made that field, and that was a good field. And he just made them chase him, and he would never let them into the race. That was a super strong performance. I don't know if he's that horse anymore, but if he is, and he makes the lead in here, the favorite better have him nailed on tight.
Philo de Ariana, the number 5, comes off a good effort in the local prep. That's the Grade 2 King Eddie going a one-turn mile. Let's watch that race and go back in your formulator past performances and click on the short comment line. He didn't get away very quick, and then he rushed up to set the pace, and he went fast. That second quarter mile in a sub-23. This is a solid horse on the outside coming after him, Mike. War Bomber's very honest. It looks like Philo de Ariana's in deep water, but to his credit, he comes back and wins.
Yeah, very game. And you're right, too, because he did have to rush a little bit in this race and go a fast pace. And it sort of felt like it left him vulnerable in the last furlong, but he just dug in. He wouldn't let a good horse go by. And that was a good performance. He exited that, or the race prior to that sprinting. He ran really, really well that day. He can, anything from like 6 to 8 furlongs is right in this horse's wheelhouse. And he doesn't need the lead, Dan. So if that European import here breaks running and makes the front, I don't think it's a big deal to Philo de Ariana.
I'm not sure this horse is good enough to win, but I won't argue with anyone who wants to use the 6 win for the money somewhere in your single race exotics. He proved 3 starts back that he could run a very fast race, going a mile and a 16th at Gulfstream. Then he got wired at Churchill Downs, and then he got wired again at Ellis Park in a race where there was just no pace whatsoever. It looks like they're at least going to be going in here. Win for the money is going to get a completely different setup, and I expect him to run a lot better.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff, Dan. I mean, he's the horse that if you're trying to, maybe just to make a case from underneath, I thought he was hard to take on top in here considering what he's up against. But if you're looking for a horse to use underneath at a price, this is a pretty good candidate because he could be a little dirtied up.
Niagara Skyline is up next, and he's stepping up in class, but at least he's stepping up in sharp form off this victory, going a 2-turn 7.5 furlongs over the inner turf, where he sat close off of a moderate pace against a very hungry field, and he goes about his business and wins as he should. He's going to have to chase faster fractions and face much tougher horses.
Yeah, and do it going a mile too, which maybe isn't that big a deal, but they've kept this horse mostly going shorter throughout his career. He's very consistent and very reliable, and I respect that about him, but he looks like he's in way too tough here.
The most fascinating entrant in the race, perhaps, is the number 8, My Boy Prince, the 3-year-old, and the beaten favorite in the King's Plate over Synthetic, going a mile and a quarter. He showed high early pace in here to prompt the leader. He took over midway on the turn. He still has a clear lead in the stretch, but those early efforts are beginning to take their toll, and My Boy Prince is going to get tired. A filly will run him down in the final 16th.
He got tired going the mile and a quarter here. He gets to drop back in distance, which probably just helps this horse. He's another one who's in a really tough spot here. I mean, I guess, do you want to make the argument, Dan, that this horse, and he's obviously good on the all-weather, this horse is better on the grass. He's really hasn't gotten to run on it as a 3-year-old yet, but he's certainly improved. Now he gets back to the grass here. I don't know. I guess I could argue that if I wanted to. I still didn't like him that much in this race.
I can see him at least sitting a trip, tracking on the outside. And if the European horse and Philo de Ariana get involved in a tussle, perhaps he's in the catbird seat. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Woodbine Mile. The horse to beat is the number 2, Naval Power. You're going with Big Rock, hoping he can call back some of that back class from last year, because he was one of the better turf milers in all of Europe in 2023.
Yeah, I don't know if he's that horse anymore, Dan, but if he is, I don't think anybody else in this field can beat Naval Power. But I do think Big Rock has a race in him that could get it done, and maybe he'll be a fair enough price here to just take one shot with, see if he can make it to the front in here and run his A race.
We mentioned all of the negatives surrounding Play Me a Tune. Again, Lasix off, first time turf, first time a distance of ground. But this horse to me is all upside, and he showed a lot of potential in his first 2 starts. I can't take a dime less than that 12-1 on the morning line, however, because of all the question marks we mentioned. 4, 2, 5, and 1 for Mike. I think Big Rock will run well also. 1, 4, 2, and 5 for me. It's the Grade 1 Woodbine Mile. It's a super card of racing at Woodbine. Best of luck.